Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and my fellow citizens, America's comeback starts right now.
Either Donald Trump will win the 2024 presidential election, or America will fall. I'm George Christensen, former Australian Member of Parliament, and this is Nation First. Before we get going, make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and click the little bell to get alerts when we have news to share with you. Now, earlier this week, former President Donald Trump announced his bid to run for the Republican presidential nomination. He announced this to a large group of supporters gathered at Mar-a-Lago. However, compared with his two previous runs, Trump does face an uphill battle this time around. Biden and his crooked establishment seem more emboldened, given that their propaganda is being pushed through the fake news legacy media, and it helps to dampen the public's negative sentiment about them, despite them effectively having plunged the United States and the rest of the world pretty much into a recession. Coupled with plenty of election fraud, the expected red wave in the US midterms elections failed to materialize, and some of Trump's former allies have now turned against him. Despite those odds, now I guess that what we have is President Trump being in the hot seat. It is essential that he wins this upcoming election. The future of the United States and the West, nonetheless, is at stake. Now, to start with, the presidential election will come at a time when the world is expected to face probably its worst economic crisis since, say, the Great Depression. The globalist elites and their puppets in the White House are hell-bent on making sure of that. Trump, a political outsider during his presidency, has showed resolve in resisting the globalist influence. He had attempted to reassert his country's sovereignty and to defy the neoliberal world order. During his tenure, America enjoyed a period of high prosperity, with energy prices low, growth higher than most developed countries, and unemployment amongst the lowest numbers that has been seen in America in decades. Now, it took a virus, unfortunately, to undo all of that progress. Now, if Biden or another conventional politician wins, they would be more interested in pleasing their globalist masters and actually getting the country out of the economic turmoil that it's in. Consider Biden's presidency right now. What we've got is cost of living going up and up and up. That's making Americans poorer and poorer. And, they're succumbing to homelessness. All the while, the Biden administration busies itself with pouring billions into the military-industrial complex. And then there's the threat of communist China seeking to assert its hegemony and undermine democracy in the process. We're already witnessing that happen. Our governments have begun emulating many of communist China's totalitarian policies, such as trying to implement a central bank digital currency, pushing for digital identity systems, and even setting up concentration camps or quarantine camps, as they call it, for their citizens. The fact that many democracies with free societies, free economies that exist around the world, well, that's only been possible because of the United States being the global hegemon. Now, unlike Trump, sleepy Joe Biden, he's been 2 weeks behind to confront the Chinese Communist Party without our dear friend Donald Trump amidst an economic crisis, as firms look to cut costs, to lay off workers. Americans' factories, they're going. The ongoing transfer of industries is happening. Ongoing transfer of technologies is happening, all to China, and that's going to accelerate. And if Trump is not returned, it'll further strengthen China at the cost of the United States. Technology is the engine that powers superpowers, and China has undoubtedly gained an edge over the United States in such strategic fields as artificial intelligence, fintech, and hypersonic technologies. And then there's this growing divide and general climate of hatred that threatens America most of all. The establishment over the years has promoted identity politics amongst US citizens to divide them and make them become hostile to their neighbours, to their friends, and even family, instead of uniting them and pulling them together to oppose their true oppressors. Now, uniting the country and calling out the violence-inducing fake news media, that's always been a priority agenda for Donald J. Trump. The mainstream media likes to paint this picture of Trump's chances as negative, but then again, they did so back in 2016, and then they proceeded to screech for years and years and years after he actually became president. So don't count Donald J. Trump out prematurely. As Dick Morris, who is an American political author, a commentator, and a former White House staffer said, accept no substitutes. Only he, Donald J. Trump that is, can put together the coalition that generated 74 million votes in 2020. And we don't want a bleached out, kinder, nicer, gentler Donald Trump either. We want and we need the same Donald Trump who won in 2016, increased his vote share in 2020 by 11 million votes, and in between was one of our truly great presidents. Ladies and gentlemen, share this, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and click the bell to get more alerts when we have news to share with you on the Great Reset and World Affairs.